Bill Black, who was the bass player in our old group, was the clown. You know, if you remember back then, everybody had a clown in the group. Well, some of those early shows, if it hadn't been for Bill, we would have all fell just flat on our face, because Elvis was such an oddity, if you will, that when people first saw him, when he first came on and started performing, they were in shock. And through Bill's antics, combined with Elvis, his own antics, the crowd would finally just loosen up and fall to pieces. You know? But Bill would be the one that, because he was doing stuff like riding the bass, and he'd get a pair of bloomers and put them on, or do anything to get the crowd loosened up. And if we had to really contribute concert success to anyone in the very early days, it would have to be to Bill, from my standpoint. The minute the crowd would break open, then Elvis would have him in the palm of his hands then from then on. The period between 54, latter part of 54, July to at least Christmas, Mississippi, Arkansas, and of course Louisiana, in and around Shreveport, the immediate area of Shreveport. This would be primarily from the Louisiana Hayride broadcast, because KWKH covered that area real good.
How was the group received by the audiences you played for? What did they think of Elvis?
Well, the first time we went down there was some dates that Tim and Frank had supposedly booked for us. I said, well, we were down there for the hayride, but in process we were staying to do these dates. The dates didn't materialize, and we were hung up there in the hotel and couldn't pay our hotel bill and get out for a couple of weeks, I believe. And Pappy Covington, who was a booking agency that booked a lot of the hayride acts, finally got us a couple of bookings in East Texas before we could bail out of the hotel and get back to Memphis. So we could start all over, do the same thing again.
Whose car was the group using to make your dates?
Well, we started out traveling on the road in a 54 Bel Air Chevrolet, which, it actually belonged to my wife, Bobby, because she was working at Sears and making car payments. And the three of us were working as hard as we could, trying to keep gas in it to get to our dates. We drove the 54 Chevy about 40,000 miles, I suppose, and it gave out on us. Then Elvis got a Lincoln, a 49 or 50 model Lincoln, which only lasted a couple of months. We had a wreck in that. And then he got the 54 Cadillac, which he had painted pink. The pink Cadillac caught fire and burned just outside of Texarkana, Arkansas, one night right after a show. My rear wheel bearing locked up, and Elvis was in the car with a date, and Bill and I were following in another car. And when we caught up to him, he was on the side of the road, frantically emptying the trunk, throwing guitars and amplifiers and clothes. It took us 2 hours to get everything out of the ditch after the car burnt. Elvis was very unhappy about the car burning, because it was naturally the first real honest-to-goodness show car, I guess you could say.
When you played the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, Tennessee, what happened there?
The first and only appearance that we made on the Grand Ole Opry was kind of earth-shattering for all involved, I guess. They wouldn't let us do but one song, and we had to do Blue Moon in Kentucky because it was a country song. The audience reaction was very light, so I was just in total, it was a bomb, really what it amounted to.
Some 2 weeks later, the group played the Louisiana Hayride. What was that like?
The first Hayride appearance, there was, as I remember, a good crowd. I don't think they had a full house necessarily, but it was a younger crowd than we'd experienced at the Grand Ole Opry, a much younger crowd. It was like a place for people to go on Saturday night, and They reacted. I mean, they reacted. The next time we were there, they brought their friends and so on. Sam was handling all the negotiations on that, where I don't know if we went back the following Saturday night. I know we were invited back, and we went back a time or two, and Sam went down with us and got with the people in charge to negotiate Elvis being a regular member of the Hayride staff.